The petitioner is the sole accused in a case where he faces trial for offense of rape. The prosecution alleges that the petitioner, after giving a false promise of marriage, sexually assaulted the victim on several occasions. The main question that arose for consideration before the Honorable Kerala High Court was whether consensual sex between a married woman and her former lover, based on a promise of marriage, constitutes rape under Section 376 of the IPC corresponding to Section 64 of the BNS. The court examined the first information statement and the victim's statement under Section 164 of the CRPC corresponding to Section 183 of the BNSS. It was revealed that the petitioner and the victim were former lovers who had studied together and had initially planned to marry. However, due to reasons beyond their control, they could not marry and the victim married another person. The alleged sexual acts with the petitioner took place during the subsistence of the victim's marriage to another person. The court emphasized that there was no case of forcible sex. The victim consented to sex, allegedly persuaded by the petitioner's promise of marriage. The court referred to the settled principle that if a man retracts his promise to marry a woman, consensual sex they had would not constitute an offense of rape under Section 376 of the IPC. Corresponding to Section 64 of the BNS, unless it is established that the consent for such sexual act was obtained by him by giving a false promise of marriage with no intention of adhering to it, and that the promise made was false to his knowledge. The court also referred to its recent decision which held that a promise made by an accused to a married woman that he would marry her is not enforceable in law as it is against public policy under Section 23 of the Indian Contract Act. Such an unenforceable and illegal promise cannot be the basis for the prosecution to contend that the woman's consent was obtained based on a misconception of fact, as understood in Explanation 2 of Section 376 and Section 90 of the IPC, corresponding to Section 63 and Section 28 of the BNS. The court cited Supreme Court judgments which drew a distinction between rape and consensual sex. These judgments emphasized that the court must carefully examine whether the accused actually wanted to marry the victim or had malafide motives and made a false promise only to satisfy his lust. Based on the sequence of events, the court concluded that the sex between the petitioner and the victim was purely consensual. There was nothing to show that the petitioner had made a false promise only to satisfy his lust. Moreover, no question of promise to marry arose since the victim was a married woman who knew that a legal marriage with the petitioner was not possible under law. Therefore, the court held that the offense of rape cannot be constituted based on the allegations in the FIS and the statement under Section 183 of the BNSS, as it was apparent that the victim's consent was not given based on any misconception. If you found this video helpful, please like and share it with others. Subscribe to our channel for more legal insights.